Red Bull is in serious trouble. Not because of a crash, not because of a scandal, but because Max Verstappen has just said something the entire paddock was trying to avoid. For months, Red Bull kept it quiet. The dyno numbers, the delays, the real power unit data. But now, Verstappen has broken the silence. And what he said about the Ford engine has stunned everyone in the sport. Because if he's right, then Red Bull's 2026 season could be in danger before the car even turns a wheel in Bahrain. And the worst part? The FIA already knows. When Red Bull unveiled their 2026 car in Detroit, they didn't just pick Ford's backyard by accident. It was symbolic, powerful, calculated. They were telling the world that this wasn't just a new car, it was a new era. For the first time in their history, Red Bull was going into battle without Honda, without Renault, without any external manufacturer holding the key to their power unit. The engine, the real heart of this new project, was theirs. Built in Milton Keynes, signed off by their own engineers, and wrapped in the iconic blue oval of Ford. On stage, it looked like confidence. Max Verstappen stood next to it. So did Christian Horner. And behind them, a lineup of executives and engineers all nodding in sync. But what wasn't shown that day, what wasn't shared with the media, or the guests, or the broadcasters, was the fact that the real car hadn't turned a single lap. Not in private, not even in simulation. Because the Ford engine, though technically operational, wasn't ready, not just in terms of power delivery, but in terms of cooling, battery behavior, hybrid integration. And that's where the tension began. Because Red Bull knew they were tight on time. And Verstappen? He knew it too. He'd already spent time in the simulator. He'd already reviewed early power curves. And the numbers, according to multiple internal sources, didn't match expectations. So when Verstappen published his now viral statement, saying, "We'll spend more time in the garage than on the track," it wasn't off the cuff. It was deliberate. It was calculated. And it was meant for more than just the fans. Because when your lead driver, your reigning team leader, publicly questions the reliability of the engine before a single race has been run, that's not frustration. That's pressure. And now, the question isn't just whether the Ford engine will work. It's whether Red Bull, for the first time in years, has pushed too far, too fast. Inside Red Bull powertrains, the numbers aren't matching up. On paper, the Ford engine should be competitive. The architecture follows the FIA's guidelines. The energy recovery systems are compliant. The weight target was hit. And cooling demands, though tight, were supposedly accounted for. But when they fired it up on the dyno, something didn't add up. Multiple sources, some close to the integration team, others involved with simulation, report the same three problems. First, thermal instability. The power unit runs hot, not in short bursts, but consistently, to the point where the engine can't maintain peak performance for more than a few laps before needing recovery time. Second, battery drain. Under race-level deployment, the hybrid unit is pulling more charge than the recovery system can sustain. That means Verstappen could run full deployment for 1 or 2 straights, but then suffer major drop-offs as the system rebalances mid-lap. And third, inconsistent torque mapping. This one matters, because it means the driver, even someone with Verstappen's precision, can't fully predict how the engine will behave under mixed throttle inputs. And for Max, that's not just annoying, it's unacceptable. He builds his racecraft on consistency, on repeatable response. If the engine surges, slips, or lags, it destroys his rhythm. Now, to be clear, none of these issues are illegal. None of them violate the regulations. This isn't a controversy in the FIA's eyes. Yet, but inside Red Bull, a different word is being used. Liability. Not because the engine is bad, but because it's unpredictable. And when a car becomes unpredictable at 320 kilometers per hour, you don't have time to fix it in the garage. You're either fast from lap 1, or you're chasing ghosts all season. And right now, the numbers suggest Red Bull may be chasing more than just lap time. They might be chasing stability itself. Red Bull thought they were in control. The power unit was built in-house. The development team was hand-picked. The testing schedule was theirs to manage. And the communication strategy, from dyno room to launch stage, was tightly controlled, until Ford got involved. And now, things are different. Because Ford didn't sign on to this project to watch Verstappen question their engine on the front page of motorsport.com. They didn't partner with Red Bull to be associated with unreliability or doubt. This was supposed to be Ford's return to Formula One, a legacy brand, re-entering the most competitive motorsport in the world. backed by innovation, budget, and pride. Instead, their logo is now sitting on an engine that's being questioned by the reigning world champion himself. And inside Ford's executive offices, this has triggered alarm bells. Multiple insiders, some from the Detroit side, others from the European integration team, have confirmed the same thing. Ford expected more visibility, more input, more control. But what they've received so far is data, often delayed, sim results not matching what they were promised, and media silence until Verstappen broke it. That's where the tension began. Because now, Ford is asking questions Red Bull doesn't want to answer. Why wasn't the thermal issue flagged earlier? Why was the cooling envelope pushed so tight? Why is the MGUK failing to recover charge as expected under race conditions? And worst of all, why was Verstappen allowed to speak freely, without running it through comms? Because what looked like honesty to fans looked like exposure to Ford. And when a global brand starts using the word exposure, that's when you know the problem has gone political. Behind closed doors, Ford's tech division is reportedly pushing for a recalibration of the relationship. More oversight, more technical sign-off, more control over public messaging. And that's the last thing Red Bull wants. Because if Ford starts pulling rank, if they start demanding visibility over dyno protocol, component design, or even race day strategy, then Red Bull loses what made this engine program possible in the first place. Autonomy. The freedom to build what they want, how they want, without external interference. And that was the whole point of ditching Honda. But now, thanks to a few overheating laps, a few unbalanced battery cycles, and one brutally honest Verstappen quote, that autonomy might already be slipping away. What no one is explaining is just how fragile this partnership always was. Red Bull and Ford speak the same language in public. Innovation, speed, performance. But behind the scenes, they operate in different worlds. Red Bull is a race team. They make decisions fast. They accept risk. They work through chaos. Ford doesn't. Ford is legacy. It's structured. Every subsystem has layers of accountability. Every engine cycle has to be validated, simulated, logged, and signed off. Twice. So from the very beginning, this alliance was held together by one thing: trust. Ford trusted Red Bull to deliver a competitive product. Red Bull trusted Ford to stay out of the garage. But trust only lasts as long as performance does. And now, with Verstappen publicly questioning the engine's reliability, Ford is beginning to reevaluate everything. It's not just about horsepower anymore. It's about image. Ford came back to F1 for two reasons. One, to show off its new hybrid and battery tech to a global audience. And two, to win. Not in year 3. Not after a 5-year development plan. They expected to be competitive now. But that expectation might have been based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what Red Bull Powertrains really is. Because despite the name, Red Bull Powertrains isn't a manufacturer. It's not Mercedes HPP. It's not Ferrari's Maranello division. It's not even a full works facility, yet. It's a startup. A well-funded, hyper-aggressive, under-pressure startup, trying to build a race-winning hybrid power unit during the most complex regulation shift in F1 history. And Ford, intentionally or not, may have treated them like an established partner. That disconnect is now showing up in every late report, every thermal inconsistency, every software mismatch between battery and ERS deployment. And the deeper issue? There's no time to fix the structure. The season is about to begin. The dyno hours are running out. The engines are already sealed for homologation. Which means if the integration doesn't work as expected, Red Bull can't just rebuild. They're locked in. And Ford knows it. So now, internally, the question being asked isn't just, how do we solve this? It's, who allowed this to happen? That's where the blame game begins. Where engineering delays become political leverage. Where every Red Bull department head knows their margin for error is gone. Because once corporate pressure arrives, you don't just need to fix the problem. You need someone to blame for it. Let's start with Verstappen. He didn't make that statement by accident. He knew what it would trigger. And he knew who it would reach. Because for all the talk about development and dyno runs, Verstappen's focus is simple. He wants to win. He doesn't care about corporate diplomacy. He doesn't care about Ford's PR calendar. He cares about having the fastest car, from the first lap of Bahrain. And right now, he doesn't believe he has that. That's why he spoke. Not to stir controversy, but to apply pressure. Public pressure. Pressure that forces accountability. Before the season gets away from him. And that puts Red Bull in a compromised position. Because if they ignore Verstappen's concerns, they risk alienating the most dominant driver of the last decade. But if they escalate those concerns internally, they deepen the rift with Ford. It's a lose-lose situation. Now look at Ford. From the outside, this looks like a performance issue. But inside their corporate structure, this is a reputation crisis. They launched their F1 return with headlines, branding, media hype, and internal expectations across multiple divisions. This wasn't just a racing decision. It was a marketing decision, a technology showcase, a shareholder pitch. And the last thing they can afford is to look like passengers on a failing project. So they're starting to move. Requests for greater technical access, more detailed simulation reports, pressure for Ford engineers to be present trackside during power unit calibration phases. That might seem helpful, but Red Bull won't see it that way. They've spent years building this program, precisely to avoid manufacturer oversight. The entire point of Red Bull powertrains was to control their own fate. If Ford starts treating the engine like their asset, not Red Bull's, that power balance shifts. And once that happens, the relationship fractures, because it's no longer two parties working senior Ford executives. Deployment strategies are being reviewed by departments that have never stepped foot in an F1 paddock. And Max Verstappen? He's watching it all, knowing full well what this could become. Because if Red Bull doesn't fix the internal fracture now, if they can't stabilize the engine, or contain the corporate overreach, then the issue won't stay behind closed doors. It'll spread to the garage, to the track, to every sector time that doesn't match expectations. The cameras will catch it. The headlines will twist it, and the pressure will become public. That's when the damage becomes irreversible. Because once you lose the trust of your driver, once your manufacturer starts questioning your process, and once the paddock senses weakness, Formula One doesn't wait for you to catch up. And this Verstappen statement, this single quote about spending more time in the garage, might not just be a complaint. It might be a warning. The kind you issue before the situation explodes. And if Red Bull doesn't get ahead of it, then this season won't be remembered for what the engine could have done. It'll be remembered for what it destroyed. And right now, nobody inside that garage knows just how deep the damage already runs.